Today's businesses are on a vigilant watch for threats in an ongoing cyber war. It's time to get real-world solutions to protect and secure your valuable business information anytime, anywhere. Welcome to Cybersecurity America with Josh Nicholson. You're about to gain special access into a world of restricted information and a backstage pass to the inner sanctum of cybersecurity operations.
Telegram is a platform that's more than you think. One of the guys that I ran across at one of our forensics conference here in North Carolina is just an expert in this area. He gave a presentation at a techno forensics conference, and I was really blown away with it. And so I asked Mr. Stephen Arnold if he could come on the show and give us that presentation over again, because I thought it was just invaluable. Now, for all of y'all that don't know Stephen Arnold, he's one of those individuals involved in deploying U.S. government-wide search for President Clinton. The system he deployed was in 2000 using cloud-based architecture. He designed that architecture for the U.S. government's Threat Open Source Intelligence Gateway from 2003 to 2006 and operated that system during that period of time. And in his distinguished career, he's worked on projects, numerous government agencies, and many Fortune 1000 companies, including one of the largest search and one of the largest software companies. Now, he was an advisor for I2 Ltd. And a developer of Analyst Notebook, now owned by Harris, and other companies developing investigative software and systems. Now, Mr. Arnold was one of those distinguished people who received the Ingleton Award for the American Society of Information Scientists. He did that in 1989. He worked at Halliburton on the nuclear utility services side. He's also worked at Booz Allen Hamilton in Washington, D.C., and Ziff Communications in New York City until 1992, when he began to work as an independent subject matter expert. Now, he's worked as an expert witness and conducted investigations for a lot of U.S. government entities and agencies. His most recent book is on the Dark Web Notebook. It's a companion to his 2013 Cyber OSINT Next Generation Information Access book. He graduated summa cum laude at Bradley University with his Bachelor of Arts and his Master of Arts degree. Now, he completed work towards his PhD at the University of Illinois, but dropped out of the program to join Halliburton Nuclear. He has received awards for his work from ACES, Information Today, and the state of New York. Now, Mr. Arnold has lectured at universities, commercial government entities, and conferences on subjects related to online systems and services. Additionally, you can always view his website. I always recommend seeing his bio on his website, arnoldit.com, bio/bio. He also has a partial list of some of the publications just on his website as well, arnoldit.com. And he publishes a free weblog related to different online services, including smart services. Now, he lives in rural Kentucky with his wife of 56 years. Now, that's an absolute long time to be married, and I commend him on that. And a rescued French bulldog. We always talked about both of our passions for loving dogs. He and his wife have 2 children and now retired, and the others working on projects in Washington, D.C. And man, it is so great to have you on the show, Stephen. This has been a long time in coming. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, thank you very much for the invitation, Josh.
Yeah, this is one of my subjects. I was really blown away when I saw what I did not know about Telegram. And I know you provided some information that would be informative to everybody on the show. And we'll take it from there, sir. Thank you.
I renamed this for your group, Josh, to Pavel's Free, Now What? And that means that there have been some changes at Telegram in the last few months. We're finishing a new book called The Telegram Labyrinth, and that gives away a complexity of that system, which a lot of people don't really think about too often. Yeah. And I'm going to try in the next 40 minutes respond to some questions you have, Josh.
Yeah. First of all, who runs Telegram? Russian tech bros. I've heard it's convoluted. Who runs it? Who owns it? But I guess, who are they?
You've got the phrase. There are the Russian tech bros. It's a small group of people. Leaders of the pack are Pavel Durov, and he made the news August of last year. He landed in Paris in his private jet, and he was promptly arrested. And the French had him under country arrest. He lived in a hotel in Paris, but he couldn't leave France until March. And he and his brother, Nikolai, originally started vKontakty. And Pavel called that the Russian Facebook. And Nikolai was one of the key technologists that worked with his brother. They're totally different personalities. But these two guys run Telegram, and they run their associated foundation. It's called the Open Network Foundation. After Pavel got out of France, he's now in Dubai and still under the monitoring of the French security forces. You can see his reaction to someone who came up to him and said, "How was your stay in France?" And this is pretty much his attitude toward law enforcement and intelligence operatives around the world. He's not cooperative. When he was
So no
younger,
he's not a Mark Zuckerberg then.
he's similar. He's a cross between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. What he shares with Elon Musk is that he has a lot of children, but Elon only has a 14 or 15. Right now, Pavel has 114.
Wow.
And he pays people to have his baby. He will pay for in vitro fertilization, or he can work it out directly. And in terms of Mark Zuckerberg, it's attitudinal. Basically, Pavel views himself as one of the smartest people in the world. One of the questions we get asked a lot when we talk about our research is, how do you keep track of what's going on in Telegram, which is located in Dubai? The people who are in charge are Russian. And the answer is, we use a wide range of open source tools. So anyone who wants to track down what is going on with Telegram can use these types of systems. You can pay for some, you get some free, and you can mix and match. Some of the tools will give you a way to use them briefly, and then after 10 searches or something, you have to pay. So all of the information I'm presenting today comes from old-fashioned research and interviews with people.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm curious, what is the going rate for a kid? If he's paying for 114, what is it, $500,000 a kid? I don't know why I'm morbidly curious about that. But can you give us some examples of some negative outcomes of Telegram? I hear there's a lot of negative aspects of it, but I mean, can you fill us in on what those are?
I will try. I think the best way is to let's start with something that any parent can encounter if they have a 13 or 14-year-old boy who is playing online games and interested in gambling and cryptocurrency. This is a harmless-looking creature. It's actually an image from a game called Hamster Combat. And unlike most games, this one is set up like a play or sequels to a movies. So Hamster Combat came out last year, and that was Act 1. And when it came out in February of last year, it had 0 users. When it ended about September of last year, it had 40 million users. And the whole angle of this game is that you would run it on your mobile phone inside of the Telegram Messenger application. And that's absolutely important to understand. Everything I'm going to talk about today runs on a mobile phone inside of the Telegram Messenger application. So when you run Hamster Combat, you see a naked hamster and a bunch of colored buttons and dots. And how do you play the game? You click the gold $sign button. And if you click 100,000 times, you get your hamster so he's got fur and a tie. And you're going to say, that's really stupid. You click a button and all you get is a dressed hamster? Yeah. So you click 4 million times, and now your hamster has got a vest on. And down at the bottom, as you read the thing, you'll see that next to the lightning bolt, you can qualify to buy up to 5,000 free clicks. So you say, how do I buy that? And the answer is with crypto. And so the idea is to get the young child comfortable taking a credit card, purchasing some cryptocurrency, and then using that cryptocurrency to get special powers. It's an addictive trick from any of the online games. Once you get up to 300 million clicks, and we didn't do this, somebody did it, but you got a hamster who's now got sunglasses, and he's got a nice looking suit on. He's got shoes. And then down there at the bottom, you see a bunch of things. You can now buy up to 10,000 more clicks. So this is the addictive part of the game, where you are getting money to buy clicks to dress the hamster. And at the top, you can see the grandmaster name. You get 300 million clicks. That means you're a grandmaster of hamster. So what's the point? The point is that there is a crypto token called the hamster. And by accruing points, you are basically betting that the developer of the game will give you a crypto coin that will appreciate in value. And the only way to get the crypto coin is to play Hamster Combat. And so the whole thing, think of a young kid who's interested in gambling and likes video games. He gets pulled in, and the intent is to educate that individual to be comfortable with cryptocurrency as a payoff and to see cryptocurrency as a way to get something for nothing. And once you reach a certain threshold in the game, Telegram will automatically display in Messenger an opportunity for you to use the crypto casino bot. And once you click on that, the 13 or 14-year-old is immediately exposed to more than 6,000 online games that run within Telegram. And as you play the games and you wager or you buy tokens, again, using any crypto that you have, you can reach a level where you become a VIP and you actually can gamble with a real person in real time inside the Messenger app on your mobile phone. And so what has happened is that this is a sequence of encouraging thinking about crypto and gambling, and then moving a person up so that they can actually gamble online and win. Once you hit a large enough stake, the Telegram system will expose you to other robots, and these are automated scripts. And so at the higher level, you will learn about the Tonbot, where you can take your cryptocurrency and use it as part of the proof of stake verification process, where you bet your crypto that a transaction of someone you don't know anything about is valid. And if that transaction is valid, you get a percentage of that money. And so your crypto stake grows. And you reflect on what I've just told you. We have something that any parent would look at the kid playing and say, oh, a hamster game, who cares? But in reality, what it is designed to do is to addict a young potential gambler. And gambling addiction is as severe as a drug or alcohol addiction. The purpose is to derail the young user's thinking and try to get them so that they are, quote, hooked into cryptocurrency and get something for nothing. So what? The way to think of it is one bad aspect of Telegram and its gaming strategy is that it's a gateway drug to crypto gambling.
Wow. That's just to see it laid out like that makes a whole lot of sense. What does the Telegram platform look like? This is obviously bigger than just a messaging platform. This seems to be a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a labyrinth. And people tend to see Telegram basically as something you load on your mobile phone, runs out there in the cloud. And this diagram represents all the distributed servers that available in modern technology. You can send a message to somebody. It's free. Download it, put it on your phone, and then you can go online and send me a message. Takes no time at all, free. But the platform that makes this possible actually has, by our analysis, a minimum of 11 major components. Let me walk you through them very, very quickly. Okay, if you direct your attention at the yellow in the center, that we've labeled it as secure enclave. And that is surrounded by various obfuscation techniques and security protocols developed by Nikolai Durov. And security professionals say that's not very good security. Okay, you may not think it's very good security, but it's been running for 13 years and it's been operating untouched pretty much until the French picked up Pavel. That's what was so important about that arrest. In the secure enclave, you have the administrative services to run the games, the messenger, the video streaming, and all of the housekeeping for a very large system with over 1 billion users, only 5 million in the US. The others are elsewhere. You've got a whole suite of administrative tools to manage this so that if you do something very simple, set up a group to focus on weapons sales from the special action between Russia and Ukraine, you can collect money, and those administrative tools are available to you. You also have a core technology component, and these are the systems that integrate the two different aspects of the Telegram framework. On one side, you have messaging and all of that. On the other side, you have the full blockchain, and you have the smart contracts, and you have the other components that go along with providing real-time financial services. You also have a dedicated R&D group, which is called the core team, core engineers. And these are individuals, some of whom worked with the Durovs at vContacti. Others have been hired as a result of international competitions where the Durovs create problems and people compete for money to solve them, and the smartest people get hired. So it is essentially a recruiting function. The next group of boxes are the 5, and in that we have marked the commercial data centers. There are specialist vendors. These are people who provide very on-point solutions. I'll name a couple later. You've got the storage subsystems. There is a messaging function, and there's the open source technology. So parts of Messenger are open source, and you can look at it and go through it. On the opposite side, 2 kind of light blue boxes. One is called the Open Network Foundation, and the other is called TON Social. The Open Network Foundation was created after Telegram was found guilty of financial fraud in the United States in 2020 and 2021. As part of that $21 million fine and settlement, the cryptocurrency part was taken out of Telegram and put into a non-profit foundation. And it's supposed to be totally separate from Telegram. The TON Social thing at the top is essentially the marketing arm. They run conferences, they make videos on YouTube, and they run around and do interviews with different podcasts promoting the Telegram ecosystem. Now, some of these lines are solid. Other lines are dotted. And the dotted lines are the pretend separation of Telegram from this post-conviction deal to move the cryptocurrency out. So if we zoom in and take a look at more detail, one of the first things that'll catch your attention is that some of the specialist vendors that are supporting Telegram is one in San Francisco called Cloudflare. We've also identified a couple of other people who provide storage services, for example, Amazon. And Telegram is a consumer of the Amazon S3 storage, remotely managed storage systems. Each of these components is extraordinarily complex. It has very sophisticated technology. So when somebody says to you, Telegram, it's an encrypted messaging app, so what? I want to point out that you are looking at a super app for crime. This has absolutely very little to do with you, Josh, sending me a message telling me, be on time for this podcast. These people are underestimated. Now, one of the things that virtually no one pays attention to is what I call the technical cadence. If you've ever developed software in a large company, being able to produce 8 to 12 significant innovations in your software every year for 13 years in a row is not trivial. That ability to generate at a regular, innovative cadence is a stunning technical achievement. And I have to tell you, I've given lectures at federal events, and people from 3-letter agencies have come up and said, we had no idea. Let me show you what I mean. This is a snapshot of key innovations over a span from 2013 to 2024. In 2016, Telegram rolled out a self-standing comprehensive API that was made available in the public. Anybody can use it, and that allows one to automate functions within Telegram. In 2018, they ramped up their crypto play after Pavel Durov got the message that crypto could be a big winner for his company. In 2021, they embedded into the Messenger application. When you install the Messenger application, you can make integrated payments. So you can buy stuff for the Hamster Combat game within the Messenger container. And then in 2023, they put the crypto coin into that Telegram wallet. So when you install the Telegram Messenger app, you get a crypto wallet. You do not have to do a separate installation. And in 2024, Telegram rolled out its own award system, and they call that STAR. It's not supposed to be crypto, but you want to think of it as an NFT, and when you play games, you can get that. And in the first quarter of this year, Telegram has rolled out 3 specific innovations to make stars a functional currency for anyone doing anything within Telegram. What happens if you get a lot of stars? You trade it in for a Ton coin, and the Ton coin can then be moved. So what? What I've just told you is that this company has been an innovator and off the radar of most people in the United States engaged in cyber fraud. There'll be little spikes when a group gets interested in it. The group IB ramped up and then ramped down, and other firms. But what we have to keep in mind is Telegram has 13 years of innovation. And the French action against Pavel Durov slowed that down and forced Telegram to bet its future on cryptocurrency.
Wow. Now, I could tell you that it looks to be a massive platform. So tell me, how do they do money laundering at scale? How does that really work? I heard that's pretty much what the whole platform is, money laundering. So how all does that work? Oh, there you go. That's your next one.
Okay. This is a diagram we put together of the Open Network Foundation. The organization is based in Zug, Switzerland. And absolutely everything that the Open Network Foundation does runs on Telegram. So this outfit It's like you being a cattle farmer and the cows that you own, they're grazing on the cattle farmer's land. So the idea that these are separate is a fake, it's an obfuscation or a proxy move. And if you look at the setup here, you have managers, you got the R&D component, you got some partners, you got the open source where we're doing this to build the community of crypto. You have what are called DApp developers. These are distributed applications. And I'm going to talk about that in the context of money laundering. You have crypto exchanges, which are running within Telegram for the benefit of the TON Foundation. Then you have the TON users, 1 billion of them. And in the dotted line over there, that's all of the software that runs the company. You got the messenger, which is the container. You have the ability to sell for premium services. You can stream live sex shows and charge pay-per-view, and that's all within the mobile phone and the messenger app. There's a complete advertising ecosystem available to developers, and the users can benefit because Telegram takes a commission when a owner of a group sells ads to his group. So if you're a grooming group aiming at kids from 9 to 12 years old and you sell ads in there, you get the ad revenue, but Telegram gets a commission. And then you have the star token I've mentioned already. That is the fractional NFT that you can trade and then convert it to crypto coins. So this is the foundation. But if you go to Zug, Switzerland, and I've been there, it is about 40 minutes from Milan, and it is the crypto capital of Switzerland. And so the Swiss regulators are pretty happy to have Telegram operating there as a community because they can watch them. Now, this is their partner, KuCoin. And KuCoin, in March of this year, was found guilty of money laundering by the United States. The United States fined KuCoin, or fined the company and forced the company to fire the founder and the president. So it is now run by a guy named Johnny Liu. And Johnny Liu is a little bit like Pavel. He doesn't live anywhere. He's what I call an Airbnb executive. That is, he travels around primarily in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, and he runs the company from his laptop in coffee shops. That's the mode for these new distributed firms. And you can see the units of the KuCoin operation. KuCoin Global runs a digital currency. It has a derivatives trading platform. It has a bank so you can earn interest. It has a game operation on its blockchain. And it has its own cloud service. And the idea is that the cloud service will host a futures platform, and you can invest in pre-release crypto coins. Now, this is a known money laundering operation run by primarily Southeast Asian executives, and it is connected to what is called Golden Triangle, primarily the money laundering operations in Cambodia, Lao PDR, Thailand, and a few other countries. Now, these guys know that TON is out there with its huge network. So imagine this very large structure that Telegram has put in place, and KuCoin very logically says, why should we develop this? Let's just use Telegram. So the deal between Telegram and KuCoin is basically to put the KuCoin functions onto the Telegram plumbing. Now, let's go back and talk about how money laundering works. And let's take a kid, like a 15-year-old who's playing Hamster Combat, and he's winning. He's getting money. And so his game plugs into a node, and that node gives him all of the access he needs to play his game. And the game As we know, he's playing Hamster Combat. And the kid has made a lot of money. And so what's he going to do with it? Telegram will pop up one of those messages like the crypto gambling I showed you earlier. Only this one says, go to KuCoin and you can do a cash out. So how does money laundering work? It's pretty easy. You get a game, you buy clicks, Telegram gets a piece of the action. The clicks are converted to hamster coins. The hamster coins accrue. They go into the KuCoin system and they get converted to other coins like a Bitcoin or a USDT stablecoin, or KuCoin will sell you virtual casino chips. So your crypto immediately becomes a virtual casino chip, which can be used at a virtual casino. So all you need to do to money launder is go on one time, and let's say you got $8 million in virtual casino chips. And that's a very small amount of casino chips for this outfit. You bet $25 and you lose. Once you lose, you can go to the cashier and say, I want my money. And what does the cashier in a casino do? They say, do you want cash? Do you want us to transfer it? So what you do is give them a list of the cash transfer points that KuCoin will help you set up. So for $8 million, you probably need 1,000 of them. And they send the money to 1,000 different bank accounts. And then once you're done, you start moving the money out of the 1,000 different bank accounts. And you either put it in an account in a safe haven, or you instruct KuCoin, buy me a house in Dubai for $32 million. And the $8 million is a down payment and I'll pay the mortgage. So bingo, there is absolutely no financial oversight on what you have just seen. The money comes from an e-game. You spend money to buy crypto. You spend the money in the game to buy clicks. You get the coins. You move the coins to the KuCoin cloud. You get the virtual chips. You lose. You take the rest of your $8 million and you're on your way. Now, if you don't know how to do that, KuCoin will help you. And of course, they take a commission, often as much as 30%. But remember, if you're getting your money from drugs, human trafficking, or weapons deals, you don't really care because, what's 30% of $8 million you didn't have day before? But the actual dollar amounts are closer to billions a month that are moving through these systems. So this is the play. And I'm sorry.
I'm just curious. So is the way to get cash into that? Would you go to a Bitcoin machine with cash? Say if I had $10,000, I'd go to a Bitcoin machine, get Bitcoin from that 10,000 and then go to Telegram? Or is that how they usually would move large amounts of cash into the platform?
You buy it. You go to a dealer who sells Bitcoin. These guys are unregulated. Under
Like
the current
Coinbase, they can track you back to your wallet if you do a Coinbase and they have your driver's license and all that stuff.
If you're a big time criminal moving money, you have employees. They do it. Right. They have mules. And so if somebody gets busted, the police end up with someone who knows zero from Bangladesh. Yeah. Because remember, we're operating in unregulated areas of the country or the world. If you go to Lao PDR and you go into an unregulated zone, you will not come out. You will be subject to surveillance and movement away from the casinos or away from the operation. And Interpol and the UN have public documents about how this works, but the scale is not fully appreciated. Some of the compounds that engage in pig butchering, which is defrauding typically elderly women, 10,000 people are working on that operation at any one time, and they're in one compound, not allowed to leave. That's the human trafficking part. I can tell
Mm.
you how you recruit people for that, but that we'll go over the times window. Let me shift to how this now gets automated, because you can't think in terms of you as a person. You have to think in terms of you as a gang that has employees, and you're moving tens of millions of dollars a month. Because when you're moving people, weapons, and drugs, the amount of cash is astronomical. Cryptocurrency is the godsend for these people. So here's how it would ordinarily work. You want to convert a ton coin to USDT. You use Telegram. One of the automated smart contracts walks you through what you do. You get a conversion receipt. And if you bought something like a car, or you just want it in your bank account, you get a verification that it's done. Now, if you're law enforcement and it's all crypto, it is possible to de-anonymize this. But here's the trick that Telegram has done. Telegram uses its own bots. These are software agents. And so you go through the same drill, except instead of going through one wallet, it goes through 3 wallets. And the money out of that third wallet goes into a virtual casino, and you, as the criminal, get a chit, a digital receipt saying that your $8 million is now in the virtual casino. Remember, you can go to it online. And once it gets into that virtual casino, it's gone, because your cash out can be in a fiat currency, and you have enablers. They have a technical name. They're called e-junkets. And the KuCoin people will hook you up with the e-junket operator, and you can move the money to wherever you want. If you put it in your hometown bank and deposit $8 million, obviously somebody's going to know. When you're operating at a large scale globally, the money can find its way into compliant banks. And the banks will quietly accept that, because banks like large amounts of money. Really doesn't matter what country you're in, or what the rules are.
Human nature.
Yeah, money is the goal, and they can charge interest on that. So basically what we have is that everything is virtual. And that's the game on that. I don't know. There we go. So what? This whole setup is basically designed for intentional obfuscation via automation. So Telegram is different from most money laundering operations, is that this is all automated. You're going to say, how fast do these execute? If you just do it for free, you get 6 instructions a second. But guess what happens if you sign up as a premium Telegram user? For, I think it's $5 or $8 a month, you get 1,000 instructions a second. That means if you're a cyber fraud investigator, you now have to de-anonymize. First of all, you have to know the transaction took place. Then you have to de-anonymize those 3 wallet transactions. And those are all anonymous, because people like KuCoin maintain anonymous wallets registered to one of the people in their compounds whom they are holding as prisoners. And that's the setup. So this is not amateur hour. This is a highly refined, industrialized criminal operation. And Telegram provides the plumbing. That's why I say it's a super app for crime. It's very slick.
And what do you think of arresting the CEO does? Are they trying to force him to give access to the system source code, to give access to the back end? What do you think they're trying to do with him, and what's next for Telegram?
I worked in France for a very large defense company there. So I'm pretty familiar with how French government and the French police work. Number one, they just cut through all of the baloney and arrested Pavel when he got into France. That's the first thing. They took direct action. Number two, they let Pavel hire one of the best attorneys in all of France. He runs a firm. His name is Daniel Kaminsky. If you work in France, you know this guy. And he, I think, explained to Pavel Durov that the French have prisons literally 15 minutes from downtown Paris, which is designed and holds 2,250 prisoners. But because of overcrowding, it now has over 4,500 prisoners. And the number one problem in that prison is suicide. So they explained that's where you will go. And he's being held for various crimes: human trafficking, not responding to French police requests. And then I think Mr. Kaminsky shared with Mr. Durov prisons that France operates in other countries. And I don't want to go into detail, but some of those facilities are quite difficult. They are not set up for human comfort. As a result, within 2 weeks, 3 weeks of Mr. Durov being arrested by the French Force J-13, he began cooperating with the French government, releasing Telegram username and phone numbers. And he also, by the 4th week, started shutting down aggressively some of the kiddie porn, some of the drug sites. But that's so big and so complicated. It's a labyrinth. You got a lot of stuff to shut down, but he's shutting things down. And I think what's next for Telegram is that they have got to make their crypto play work. Otherwise, they're at the end of the trail. No matter that they are based in Dubai for the Telegram operation, there may be some sympathy for Telegram by Mr. Putin's operation. I don't know, but the future since the French arrest is different. And so now Telegram is all in on crypto.
Okay. And you could stop sharing your deck, Stephen, if you want. I'm just curious on what do you see? Are there other replacements? Is Telegram? You could stop sharing the screen too on the top button. What do you see other platforms taking Telegram's place in the future? If they're going to start taking down sites and kiddie porn and stuff like that, it just sounds like it will morph onto something else. So what is a Telegram-like competitor? Who's Telegram's competitor on the criminal side right now?
Right now, there is not a comparable platform, but Elon Musk and Sam Altman have each expressed a desire to build a platform. They don't call it like Telegram, but they want a platform like WeChat in China, which has the same comprehensive functionality, but that's under the control of the Chinese government and not suitable for criminal activities. And in our present environment in the United States, I think it's highly likely that we'll see some criminal activity move to WhatsApp. There will be a flow of criminal activity if these new platforms become available. And some of the criminal activity will stay in the dark web or I2P or Freenet or whatever's available. Because criminals are like water. They leak to the space where the gravity is. So your question is an excellent one. And I think it means that law enforcement has to pay attention to Telegram, has to pay attention to WhatsApp and Instagram, and they have to pay even closer attention to the dark web. And then whenever these new services come, whether it's Mr. Musk or whether it's Mr. Altman, they got to be on the ball. You can't wait 13 years and have some old dino baby like me tell you, oh, wow, they've been doing this for a long time. You've got to be very proactive. And I think that's a challenge in today's enforcement environment worldwide. This is not easy stuff. This is the first time you saw Telegram in its basically function and technical construct. Is your home computer set up that way? Is your company system set up that way? Is Google set up that way? You are literally seeing Telegram operating at a technical level that is either at or beyond Amazon, Google, and Microsoft in terms of cloud functionality because they are using them. There is no there with Telegram.
Yeah.
Who are you going to arrest? That's why the
Right.
French just said, that's enough of that crap. We just go get him. And it worked. So this is a very difficult time for cyber crime investigators.
And do you think Durov is a criminal in his own right that just says, hey, I'm going to be the provider of criminality to everyone else? Or he's just such an advocate for privacy and free speech and all this? It just sounds like maybe this guy is just a criminal who developed his own platform and application to do that. Why does he?
I don't. I think he is very similar to the phrase tech bro. You become very wealthy, you become very famous, and you begin to hear from anyone around you that you are the smartest, best looking, most capable person in the world. And an individual who lacks certain ethical and moral fabrics simply does what he does in order to keep the money and the adulation flowing. So this is essentially an amoral individual. And if we were talking to him, we'd probably like him. And he'd be a great guy to go out and have a pizza. But in terms of behavior, you could say that some of those characteristics are very similar to what we see at company X in America that's in social media, or company Y in America that is putting AI into trivial utilities, or very similar to big sophisticated company that sells products at a higher price than the local store, but fools you. They're all similar in that they are part of what in America has become the tech bro ethic. And when I was younger, I fell guilty to that. We did 2 internet startups and made money on both of them. Well, I mean, I felt couldn't do anything wrong. But as I matured, I fortunately said no more startups. And then secondly, I said, I am going to stick within the white lines that my parents taught me. I am not going to get involved in graft. I'm not going to get involved in cutting corners. And I've suffered financially because of that. I'm telling you, there are thousands of people who think that my viewpoint is the stupidest thing on the planet. And I think that's why at my age, working independently, I'm asked to come and present at law enforcement conferences and intelligence conferences, because I'm able to say, this is what they built. You guys missed it for 13 years. And now there are going to be 2 new ones coming. Plus, we still haven't solved the dark web, which is 22 years old. And we haven't really come to grips with some basic obvious things like social media. I think that it's just not that many people who want to follow the rules. They want money. They want fame. They want girls. They want little kids. They want whatever their appetite tells them. And you've dealt with me long enough. I work completely by the book. I'm type A. I'm time oriented. And I'm a dot the I and cross the T guy. But I'm a dying breed. I don't have any problem telling people that. And so that is how this stuff works. And if you're Mr. Putin and the parents are still in Russia, you telling me he's not going to suggest that Telegram do certain things for his friends in the FSB? You're nuts. And what's Durov going to do? Let him kill his mom? No. The guy likes his mom. He likes the way she makes borscht or whatever her cuisine is. And he's going to roll over, which he did. He cut off the flow of intel from Ukraine into Russia, and they blocked certain accounts for him. So, he's doing what is, I don't know. I had some teacher, like they had a name for people like that, amoral or what. I call it ethical compass. So you're dealing with a guy that operates that way.
And the Ukrainians and Russians were using Telegram for battlefield operations, I heard.
They still do.
Use it. They're still using.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem with it, figuring out what's going on is the thing is a labyrinth. They're using servers in downtown Moscow and in St. Petersburg. That's where the core stuff is running. And I just told you why you can't walk. Maybe I didn't tell you, but this is running on virtual machines using proxy roulettes. And you go in and fool around with the server and try to figure out what a virtual machine is doing. Tell me how quick you're going to kill that sucker. If you make one single misstep, the whole thing falls down. And what do you got? You got a guy who works at the data center saying, hey, I had no idea what they're doing on the server. It's a virtual setup. They run it. I don't.
Yeah. That's fascinating. And we're coming out of time here, and I could talk forever on Telegram because it's just the more I learn every time I talk to you. You have a book coming up. You have some things coming up you want to tell everybody about, or what's coming
the
up?
Telegram Labyrinth. But unless you're a policeman or an intelligence agent, you can't buy it.
Oh, really? So you have to be Leo in order to get it. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't sell them. If you come to one of my lectures and it's a classified or secure event, in April, I'm doing 2 talks at the National Cybercrime Conference, which is a Department of Justice and a bunch of other law enforcement groups. And anybody who's in the lecture, I'll tell them when the book is out, write me, and prove with your badge number that you're who you are. You get it free. And I'm 80 years old. What do I care selling a book to somebody for $20? Give me a break. I'm not going to waste my time doing that.
And your blog is on where again? Just to make sure we highlight.
It's I don't know. I do it myself.
Arnold.
And we have a robot we post to LinkedIn, but you can find it just by searching for me and the name of one of my books. If you type in Stephen Arnold Cyberocent or Stephen Arnold Dark Web, Google, even though it's Prabhakar made it really wonderful, you can still find me. You just have to click some pages. I'm there.
I mean, Steve, I appreciate your time today. That was a fascinating go down on Telegram, understanding what it is more. And I think that subject, you could probably spend a couple more hours. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. And if you could, just make sure you hit that subscribe and put some comments down that you have about Steve's presentation, and we'll definitely respond as quickly as possible. I appreciate everybody, and you stay secure.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Cybersecurity America. We hope you've learned some valuable information to help you be a better executive leader and navigate today's complex world of cybersecurity. Until next week, stay secure.